Hello and welcome to Frontline Breakfast. It's no longer news that Senator Bwacha have lost again at the Federal High Court, Abuja, and has also been sacked as the senator representing Taraba South in the APC after his defection from the PDP to the APC after he won elections in 2019. For that reason, today we'll be analyzing the legal implications of this. And joining me in the studio to do justice to this is Barrister Sunday Stephen. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
So today we would be analyzing two court orders right now. The first is the one that said Senator Bwacha can no longer continue to sit in the Senate in account of his defection from the PDP to the APC. And then secondly, would be looking at his recent sack as the APC gubernatorial candidate. So, but looking at both court ruling, what do you have to say about that? How would you really analyze it at this point?
Well, there is coming one too many judgments against him because as a human being, he will be distracted. But by and large, what will affect him more is the sack. I mean, the nullification of his primary by the Abuja division of the Federal High Court. Because the decision did not only nullify the primaries, but the court went ahead to disqualify him as a person. Because if a fresh primary will be conducted by APC within that 14 days, distinguished Senator Emmanuel Bwacha will not be a candidate in the primaries. So that decision should worry him the more.
Okay, so what exactly is the implication on Senator Bwacha himself?
The implication is that for 2023 election, as far as that judgment is concerned, except if that decision of the Abuja division of the Federal High Court is set aside, he will not be a candidate for 2023 election, even in the primaries of APC.
Okay, so the party, on the other hand, is there any effect this will cause to them?
No, the party will not lose anything because there are other candidates that the party has that eventually they are up to 10. So it's not about Bwacha. So other candidates, the party will organize primaries based on the available candidates. So whoever emerge among them will be the flag bearer of APC.
So at this point, but eventually if the party doesn't get to conduct another primaries and Senator Bwacha appeals and then he doesn't get a result in his favor, does that mean the APC won't have a candidate?
No.
For the 2023 election?
The right of appeal must be exhausted before the decision of the trial court will take effect. So once the trial court has already made an order of primaries within 14 days. So once you have chosen to appeal against the decision of the court is put in abeyance until the Supreme Court now concludes the hearing of the appeal to now say that she affirmed the decision of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which will now mean that from the date of that judgment, the court has 14 days to conduct fresh primary, which necessary notice will be given to INEC to come and supervise the primaries, but without Emmanuel Bwacha, the distinguished Senator Bwacha.
Okay, is that the reason why, and that probably be the reason why he keeps appealing to a higher court to make sure that he wins at that point?
No, it's not. It's a constitutional right.
Okay.
Because the trial court is manned by just a judge sitting alone. But at the Court of Appeal, we have they will call them the three wise men. So once they look at it, they say two good heads are better than one. This one, they're even three. So, but by the time they look at it, they will see a reason why the trial court may be wrong or right. If they agree with the decision of the trial court, they will affirm it in their judgment. But once they see reason to disagree, they will set aside the decision.
Okay, so eventually the SA of Bwacha already said that they are appealing to a higher court, and it seems they've had a hearing already on the case. So what if Senator Bwacha wins the next case?
At the Court of Appeal?
Yes.
Yeah, if he wins, that means he's still, in the eye of the law, he's still a candidate.
So how about the APC and those who have appealed, like Mr. Yusuf?
He too will still have the right to appeal to the Supreme Court, so that he will now be praying the Supreme Court to affirm, to set aside the decision of the Court of Appeal. That's if the Court of Appeal affirm and disagree with the trial court. So he will now appeal to the Supreme Court to ensure that the Supreme Court reverses the decision of the Court of Appeal. That's if at the end of the day they choose to set aside the judgment of the Federal High Court, Abuja Division. But as it is, let's not allow speculation. So the decision of the trial court at the moment is the one that Bwacha should battle with, which says he has been disqualified.
Okay. So the court mentioned particularly that Senator Bwacha should, they made an order that Senator Bwacha should stop parading himself as the candidate of the All Progressive Congress. So what happens at this point if he keeps parading himself as?
No, the thing is, once you have appealed against the decision of a court, that order of the court has been put in abeyance, like it's suspended, until all avenues of appeal have been exhausted before it will take effect. But there are instances where even at the Court of Appeal, you will still have to obtain the leave of the Court of Appeal to make an order staying execution, because an appeal does not operate as a stay. I know very well his lawyers, but because this is pre-election matter, so appeal, once you appeal, it's like a stay of execution. But in normal cases, appeal does not operate as a stay. Once a judgment has been given, you take steps to enforce it, except if you expressly ask the Court of Appeal to stay execution. But because of this pre-election matter, once you appeal, the judgment appears to be suspended until this decision is either affirmed or reversed at the Court of Appeal, then Supreme Court. You know, what is happening now is pre-election matter.
Exactly.
So all these processes must terminate in January 2023. And the effect is that whoever emerges as a candidate of APC will have a very limited time to campaign. That is the disadvantage. Because as it is now, the Tarabans will not take APC serious. Even PDP is also having that same problem. Because none of the parties is free of internal wrangling issues at the court. So until they are able to exhaust this legal hurdles, none of the candidates or candidate that have emerged through the process will hit his chest and say, I am the candidate. Because you know, Europe is still tying your leg somewhere. Anything can happen. Yeah. It's just like a woman who is pregnant. You don't know whether the baby she has, she will deliver normally or through CS, or even if you deliver it, the child will die. So it's a complicated situation.
Legally speaking, at this point, what do you think is the way forward? Would you advise an out-of-court settlement for the APC and Bwacha, or what would you really advise at this point?
You see, the problem with politicians is they have ego. Nobody wants to see himself as a peacemaker. Everyone wants to prove to the other person that if this thing is not done the way I want it, then nobody can have. It's either I win or we all lose. That is the mindset of politicians. But yeah, I did mean they are all gentlemen. In fact, there will be no need going to court. If they have the interest of the party at heart, they will not be going to court. But most times, Nigerian politicians are promoting selfish interests. That is why you see all this fighting. So
you think at this point you wouldn't really advise a court settlement? You would advise an out-of-court settlement?
What I'm saying is the time for out-of-court settlement has already passed. Because with the ego they have, with the people pursuing them, even their lawyers too will not advise out-of-court settlement at the moment. Because where is the time? Like the one at the Court of Appeal now, the decision of the Federal Court Jalingo, it has already been argued at the Court of Appeal as to speak, as of yesterday. So in the next 2 weeks, judgment will be delivered. So at what point will you have time to sit and negotiate again? The time has already passed for out-of-court settlement.
Okay, so the essay to Senator Emmanuel Bwacha this morning mentioned particularly that the senator has enough time, seeing to the fact that they have an extra 3 months to appeal, and then the court's hearing and whatever. What do you think about what do you think is the implication of that to the PDP particularly?
Yes.
Seeing to the fact that he is still sitting as a senator.
Yes, with respect to the case of the defection, you see, that is a case that has nothing to do with the 2023 election.
Yes.
It's a normal case that goes on in the court. So from the date of that judgment, he has 90 days within which to appeal. And you see, we're already in November. So before his 30 days will elapse, it will get us to end of January 2023. And usually, lawyers will file their appeal. They may file their appeal now. No, but they will not file it now, because once you file, you are expected to transmit record within 60 days, depending on the nature. So they will wait for, let's say, 2 weeks to the end of the 90 days. Then they will now file the appeal. Then they will start processing the record of appeal. So they have almost exhausted the 3 months. So they do it to buy time. But once you file notice of appeal today, that means you have to transmit record within either 45 days or 60 days from the date of filing of the notice of appeal.
So would you say that is a lose for the PDP?
As far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't bother themselves with that judgment, because at the end of the day, before they will exhaust the channel avenues of appeal, the 9th Assembly must have expired. So it's of no effect.
Wait, I really want to know, is there an implication for cross-carpeting like Senator Emmanuel Bwacha did?
Yes, the law is that the party from which you are defecting, there must be crisis. You must establish that there is crisis, and the party can no longer govern its affairs. That's when it's allowed for you to defect. So the burden is on you defecting to prove that this party that brought me into this office is in crisis. So once you're unable to prove that the party is in crisis, the court will not give judgment.
The special advisor mentioned particularly that the PDP was inconsistent at that point. That was why Senator Emmanuel Bwacha had to leave the PDP to the APC. Don't you think
no, the court did not agree with
enough?
The court did not agree with him. That is why they ordered the seat to be the order that he defected wrongly, so he ought to vacate, because they did not agree with his argument that there was crisis in PDP, and we all knew there was no obvious crisis. There may be disagreement between members of party, but that is not enough to mean that the party cannot govern its affairs. You know, politicians are very calculative. He knows very well that His Excellency the Akshedare Resistance Shaku will be contesting the senatorial seat come 2023. So if he remains in PDP, it will be difficult for him to contest the primaries of the senatorial candidacy with the governor and win. So he has to look for a soft land. He has to look for a different place. So that's why he has to create reasons for him to leave.
Okay.
So he has a choice of either going for Senate in the APC or going for the governorship. But he chose to go for the governorship. So, but that is it's not an issue for now.
From this particular case, what would you really say about the judiciary? Do you think justice was served, or what do you really think about it?
With respect to the case of defection, yes, because he has not supplied cogent and verifiable reasons why he had to defect. So he should have himself to blame. Because there are other instances where cases of defection failed or were successful. Because once you're able to establish that there is crisis, like Fwa and other people, they were able to prove that there was crisis in the party. So that's why they defected. So because somebody had his own case and he was successful, and you too think you can go and do your own, the fact and circumstance of your own case may be different from his own. So you have to weigh your chances before you start.
So finally, as a legal practitioner, what would you what would be your advice to the APC and to Senator Emmanuel Bwacha particularly?
Well, they should just try as much as possible to put themselves together, because aside Bwacha and Senator Yusuf A. Yusuf or Kente, they have several issues among the party. The party is not together. They are compartmentalized about up to 8 different camps. APC cannot win election in Taraba State because they have different factions. Some members of the party cannot see eye to eye. And a house divided against itself cannot stand. So they have internal issues. PDP is more together than APC in Taraba State. That is the truth. In fact, long before now, a member of APC told me that APC cannot even, a long time ago, he said they cannot even have a successful primaries. And as if the guy was a prophet. And look at what is playing out. Because of infighting, there are so many men full of ego. They have brought themselves together under that party. It's unfortunate anyway. We are not used to them here, so we are not surprised.
We have heard it all from Barrister Sunday Stephen, who is a legal practitioner. That's how far we can go on the program today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.